I'm like a fuck it type of guy. I don't give a shit. I'll do it.
Simi in the building. Roll the intro.
If I've only got 5 minutes, I need to create something that's going to go viral.
I've never seen anything like it.
Do you mind if we hold hands?
I feel like I'm a bit naked here, bro.
We could go get our nails done after this because I need to, bro. I need to
as well, bro.
Man, what the
fuck?
fuck? If someone buys it or not, like I just need to, for my mental self, like I need to create shit.
YKTR.
So have you found yourself in hot water? Like, have you found yourself in trouble?
Said some fucking stupid things. What do you do after? And he just replies like, chop wood, carry water. Who do you want to be remembered as? What type of effect do you want to have?
How do you start becoming the better person?
Oh, that's a good question.
The beauty of podcasting, man, is that it really just feels like a conversation you have to debate.
For sure.
Like, as a listener, when I listen to a podcast, I want to feel like I'm just a fly on the wall.
100%.
So
100%.
I feel like when you do these big, like,
yo. Yeah. It's like, if that's the way you run it, that's the way you run it.
Yeah,
but like,
sure.
but if it's, I'd much rather that whole style of flow, like,
yeah,
just talking into it. It's almost like, as you said, fly on the wall vibes.
Well, you're kind of the guy that can do that anyways.
Yeah.
I feel like you just balance conversations so well.
Bro, I just talk shit. That's just a nicer way of saying I talk shit. I appreciate it.
No, you're killing it, bro. You're doing your thing. I mean, dude, it's taken you so far. You got to interview the great Alexander Volkanovski. I mean, that is, you know, for someone as myself, like for someone like me who's such a big MMA fan, to see that he is taking interviews from creators and he is doing that kind of thing is awesome. Yeah. Is that all right? Do you reckon that'll pick it up? Okay, cool. It was, we were talking about it earlier. It was a funny situation because I got called up from KO Sports and they're like, listen, do you want to interview Volkanovski? And I was like, fuck. They actually put it to all of us. There was about eight of us going to, that were going to Perth to shoot some content, and everyone was sort of like, oh, and I just thought to myself, let's just get after it, you know. And I had no idea what I was going to do, but I rocked up. It was on a Sunday, and I'm sitting there. There's like Islam as well. He's there. And I was like, you know, I love the UFC, and I was like, this is insane. Yeah. This is crazy. And so we get there, and Channel 9's there, ESPN, Fox Sports, all the big boys,
all the big interviewers. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm out of my depth. Like, here we go again. You know, what am I doing here? And I was waiting, and they go, oh, you know, like, he's done now. Like, he's done his interviews. And I was like, I've been waiting for like 2 hours. And they were like, sorry, he's tired. He's not going to take any more interviews. And I think he heard it, and he actually goes, no. If he's given his time up to be here, you know, let's do it. And they go, well, you know, what are you going to do? What do you want to do? And they said, I'm going to create something viral. Like, if you want people to, you know, watch this fight, get it, viral content is where it's at. You know, if you want people that aren't a part of the fight community to inquire about the fight community, because like a lot of people on the outside of like UFC are like, it's violent and stuff, but there's a lot of amazing storylines, like a lot of amazing people are part of MMA and that whole community, and a lot of assholes as well. For real. I got absolutely grilled from that interview. Like, I got grilled, man. I got called every name under the sun.
Why were they grilling you?
Oh man, it was like,
where did the idea stem from
So I was like, okay, I didn't have much time. They said, you've got like 5-10, like not even 10 minutes. They're like, you got 5 minutes.
No pressure,
you know.
Just make something viral.
And just make something viral. And I thought about it, like the UFC have worked with like the Nelk boys, Steve will do it, all these like, you know, content creators. So I'm like, okay, it's a fighting sport, you know, like it's not politics. It's not, you can't say this, you can't say that. It's literally a sport of people trying to kill each other.
Getting into a cage and fighting. Death.
So I thought to myself, I go, if I've only got 5 minutes, I need to create something that's going to go viral. And I gave him a bit of a heads up. I said, listen, I'm just going to throw you a curveball, and just know that my intentions a good. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I've only got 5 minutes to interview you. So if we want something to go viral, you just have to either go with it or not go with it. And you could knock me out or you can laugh or you can do whatever you want, but it's coming from a good place.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, cool. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know, that's when I asked him to hold hands. And he was like, he goes, oh, like, what the fuck? Like, you should have seen his face. He was like, okay. Like his reaction was perfect, man. And it was almost like the Office type vibes. And I just remember cutting it up, just cracking up laughing.
And I've got a few questions from some of the, do you mind if we hold hands? Is that
legit?
Is that, no? Wrong vibe.
Yeah.
Wrong vibe.
Wrong vibe.
Anyways, where was I?
I posted it on TikTok and it actually only got like 1,000 views in the first day.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, like it's not going to go viral. Like, fuck, all right. And then I just remembered like my phone just went bing, 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 bing. And just comments, like messages. And majority of them were negative, but like not, they weren't saying like, oh, this is, you know, disrespectful or whatever. But like for me, it was positive because I was like, all right, they wanted me to create some viral content, get some eyes on Volk, get some eyes on the fight. It being in Perth, fucking ages away from everyone. The fight's at like, you know, I think it was at 9 a.m. The first fight was at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning. So it was a success in my eyes, but
what was the feedback? What were
the
people saying?
feedback, like Daily Mail were like, oh, a reporter with painted nails, like all these articles were coming out, like they were like, they were shining light that I had painted nails. It's like, what the hell?
So like, this guy's a bit zesty.
Oh yeah, very zesty. Whoa, reporter's so zesty. It was the funniest thing. And people were like, whoa, pause. Like the reporter's so zesty. And bro, it was funny because the amount of comments I got was just, you know, it was, I was laughing the whole time. Honestly, it was so funny. People were just going hard on me. It was so funny.
It was, what's the whole thing behind the painted nails?
So initially, what a lot of people don't know is my daughter Amelia, she's my oldest daughter. We've got the same birthday. She's one of the best things that has ever happened to me. I say this like, you know, she's the funniest. Like she's the funny. Both of my daughters are so funny, but Amelia is like, you know, she's exactly like me. She's like my twin. But anyways, so when I go and they live up in the Gold Coast, and I go up and see them, and we go get our nails done. Right. And I take them to get their nails done. This is how it all started. And so we're sitting there, and I'm sort of just on my phone. I'm taking photos and videos, and we're laughing. And then my daughter Amelia and Cleo, they're like, "Oh, what color are you going to get?" And I'm like, "No color." Because I just never thought about painting my nails. I'm like, no color. They're like, yeah, you got to get your nails painted. And I'm like, what? I said to the lady, like, how much does this cost? Like, it's going to cost me They're like, no, it costs like $20. So I'm like, okay, cool. And me, if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to do it like the best possible. Because like, you know, some of them, they chip off. So it's called like shellac or something. It's like a cover that seals them for weeks.
Wait. So you went from like not wanting to paint your nails to like, I want like the top tier, with the bedazzles,
the bee's knees I wanted everything.
Give me Swarovski crystals.
Yeah,
here.
Well, it was like, I go, well, if I'm going to get my nails painted, I've got to do it right, you know? So, and they were hammering me. My daughters were hammering like, you need to get like, please, like to a point where they were getting upset by it. So I thought, I'm the type of guy, I'm like a fuck it type of guy. Yeah. If it makes my partner or makes my daughters, it makes someone that matters to me happy, I don't give a shit. I'll do it. So, and I'm comfortable with it myself. I'm not like, oh, painting my nails, like this is, you know, weird. So I paint my nails. Thank God they let me paint it black because they were picking like pink and like, so anyways, I painted my nails black, got the shellac on them, and you know, had an absolute laugh, felt a little bit zesty. And I ended up coming back to Sydney, and I went out, and I was just getting like hit on by girls like, oh, why do you paint your nails? They look so good. Like, and I kid you not, like I've never been spoken to by girls that much in my life. Like,
Shit, so
this was before YKTR. This was before everything. Like, I was painting my nails black, and yeah, girls would just come up to me and be like, "I love your nails." Like, every time I paint my nails, a girl will be like, "I love your nails." Fuck. Like, I kid you not.
That's like some cheat code shit right there,
bro. That's what I was like. Who am I going to listen to? This random fake account on Instagram or TikTok or the Daily Mail
or the track record.
Or the track record. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's like, look at the track record and respect the track record enough to fucking paint your nails.
I think it's beautiful that you had that bonding process with your daughters, though.
Yeah, we always paint our nails. Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah.
You know, like, I feel like that's a real personal thing. Like, that's a way to get close.
Well, that's a lot of people don't know that. You know, a lot of people don't know that's how it started. That's how, because they're like, oh, this guy's trying to be edgy. No, it just started in cool and gutter.
Do you go like out with your boys now, or like do you guys get your nails done together?
Yes.
For real?
My mate Josh, yeah.
Yeah?
It's not like a 5 dudes and we all go get our nails painted, like chill out there, relax. Yeah. But it's like, there's Josh and I, like he'll message me and be like, yo, let's go get our nails done. And I'm like, yes, sweet. But like,
I want in on this, man. I want to get my nails done.
Man, I'm telling you,
I feel like I'm a bit naked here, bro.
Honestly, it's the best, bro.
Will you do your nails with me?
Like, oh yeah, I don't know you that well. No, honestly, we could go get our nails done after this because I need to, bro. I need to
as well, bro. I brought some nail polish. What the fuck? Dude, we can fucking do our nails right here.
Holy shit, man. That's so funny. What the hell? Red. Oh, man. Bro. This is... Bro, yes.
You think black
This
gets
is
you,
what I'm talking about,
you think
man.
black gets you, bitches. Imagine what red can do for your game.
Red, man. Red is the go, bro. Red is the go. I've actually never done red before. This is a bit too zesty for me, man. Black is like, oh, okay, cool. He's a bit edgy. He's a bit like, you know. But red is like, okay. He's horny.
Is it like a Michael Jackson thing where like you can only do the one hand? Like, you know how he only had the one glove on?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You can do just one hand.
You mix it up a bit, man. You mix it up a bit. And like, you know, I'll always stick to black, you know, chuck black on. One time I put smiley face. Yeah, black is safe.
Yeah.
But I put some yellow smiley faces on there. And I remember one time me and my ex were out and, you know, she was with her girls and stuff. I was with the boys and one guy's like, why the fuck do you paint your nails? And I go, look over there. And they're like, that's my missus. And I go, why don't you paint your nails? Where's your missus? And they're like, he's like, I'm single. And I'm like, get the fuck out of my fucking face with that shit. That's my point. And people are like, no way, that's crazy. But man, times have changed, bro. And the funny thing is, if you actually look at the history of where men from like ancient Egypt actually painted their nails first. Like the pharaohs and shit like that.
So it's like a flex.
It was a flex back in the day. Like the rich people used to paint their nails. Not saying I'm rich or anything, but men painted their nails first, and then it was pushed into like obviously females painting their nails. Yeah. And then men are like, oh, this is crazy. Like, why are you painting your nails?
It's crazy because like I feel like women's fashion and women's style changes so quickly, right?
For sure.
It's on the go. It's always moving. There's always a product being pushed. I used to work in like a pickpacking factory in Iconic.
Yes.
And the majority of what we were picking and packing and putting away was female clothing. It was like 80%.
It's crazy, bro.
It was like 80%.
It's crazy.
And so I feel like because of that, it takes a lot longer for guys' fashion to change.
Yeah.
Like skinny jeans for the longest period of time. Like if you had skinny jeans on, you were gay. Yeah. Stay away from him. He's gay.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, it's skinny ripped jeans everywhere. Yeah. I'm wearing them right now. Big
Yeah. It's funny, like, it's funny, just like even, you know, these like cargo bootleg jeans and stuff, like times are just changing. And even as you said, like I feel like men's fashion is like changing a little bit more faster, but it comes at a price. Just getting called names and shit all the time, you know.
Put up with it.
Yeah, you got to put up with it for a bit. But I think that's just the beauty of being like a creative person, and like, you know, it's a weird time we live in with like, you know, this whole masculine and feminine vibes, and you know, it's a weird time. But me, I'll wear a dress and knock you out. You know what I mean? Like, you know. So I've been like, yeah, I've like been boxing a lot more to like, I don't know, like I love painting my nails. And my favorite person in the world, actually, I love him, bro. He's the best guy, is Harry Garside. Like he's just he's an animal. Very like, he's a weapon. Like he's an amazing boxer, paints his nails, into fashion, walked on like runways, so the iconic, like wears like his worn dresses and to events. Yeah. He just does what he wants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does what he wants. And I think if a lot more men did that, you know, it's just, yeah.
But the crazy thing is, like, how are you going to talk shit about a guy when you could literally, like, cave your head in?
Yeah, if I was to call him anything, if I was to call Harry a name or something, like, most likely would knock me out straight away.
Yeah. I think Israel Adesanya does that as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, is he?
It's like
is he?
French tips and shit.
Yeah,
like
he does,
that.
bro. Yeah. I love that guy so much. He's such a good dude.
Yeah. So is that a hard no on the red nail polish?
I mean, bro, it is what it is. You know, like if it, for me, red is just like with my brown skin, it's like
a bit much.
It's not even a bit much. It just doesn't suit. Like I've tried red and I'm like, take it off right now. Yeah, it's the black. Black just sits perfectly. You know?
I fuck with it.
Try it, man.
I will. You know what? I will consider it. I will consider it. I'm not as like, you know, bold as you are. Yeah, that's the thing. Like you're an artist.
Yeah.
Like you're a real.
You're like, oh, you're an artist. Oh, okay, then that makes sense. Yeah, you're like, I'm a lawyer.
For real though, like that's what it is, because like you have a way of expressing yourself like through a canvas and through your work and through your art that is very compelling for people, and they connect with it. And I feel like in order to be able to do that, you have to be very in touch with your emotions and aware. And it's been really interesting to see how you've tied in like this big podcasting personality alongside with this like very alpha boxing, you know, I'm gonna knock you out. Character that you're playing on top of like a very vulnerable artist. And you've like actually started your own project out of the art, right? The Heart Gallery. Talk to me about the Heart Gallery. What is it?
So the Heart Gallery is a project I've been working on for maybe the past 2-3 months. It's been in my mind for the past 6. It's a heavy side on like fashion, sports, content. I'm going to be jumping into a lot of charity work with a charity that's close to my heart, Pass It On Clothing, that I've worked with on and off for maybe the past 4 or 5 years. And eventually I want to create a space for young adults and like young children who have potentially cut from the same cloth as myself, or to create a space where people can create like this space here for like, I want to create a free space for people to come in, shoot podcasts, shoot content, paint, you know, and that's long term, but that's what the Heart Gallery is. It's like, and I only called it the Heart Gallery because I'm a lover boy, and also art gallery was taken. So I mixed the two together, man, perfect. But that was the hardest thing, finding the name, because everything was taken. And then I was sitting with one of my boys.
Like Heart Gallery, I think it really, I don't know, it's catchy, it's, you know,
means
it's easy to remember, but it's also like there's a bit of underlying meaning.
For sure. And then also as well, heavy side on the art. Like I love art, and the website's been designed, it's been created. We're going to have a space for artists and designers, fashion designers, to like put their stuff on as well, sell theirs and get their name out there. And then I'll have my own space for my clothes and my own designs, my own art to sell on the website. And it's just going to be a lot of inquiry. I'm bringing other creators in to be a part of it as well. Finding other people that I believe it's hard to come into a business with like no ego, you know, like everyone has to know. I want to find people that have like direction and are open to just the discussion instead of like letting ego like point the direction of where it should go.
I think one of the hardest things in dealing with creatives is that when you group people together, the hierarchies are established very quickly, right? This person's in charge, this is next in charge, this is next in charge. But creatives don't work well in those dynamics. Like that's why they tend to be like, you know, that stereotype of like the lone painter who spends all his time in the studio and stepped away from everyone else, because they need that space and that room to be creative.
Exactly.
And when you see like these content houses or these, you know, creative studios being built, like you have to keep that in mind. You have to keep in mind the fact that just because the infrastructure says that we have to do it this way doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work this way.
For sure. And it's funny because, you know, you want to bring in all your friends, but as you said, as creators and just individuals, everyone has their own point of view. Everyone has their own taste. So it's hard to, I'm sort of telling my friends, listen, jump on board now if you want to get on, because once the train leaves the station, like there's no jumping on. Like I'm going with or without you, you know? And a lot of people is sort of like they wait till things happen and then they're like, oh, okay, it's happening. I want to jump on board now. And, you know, I ran into the situation where I wanted to do it with my mate. And first thing was like, oh yeah, we're going to do merch, you know, to start off the podcast, blah, 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 all these things. And we just had a run with the material of tea. And I was like, fuck, this is not going to work.
Yeah,
so
we're at point A.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, what I realized from that is like, all right, one of my friends, he's a web designer, top 3 in Australia. So that's his, he knows that. So he stays with that. He runs the website. He runs how everything's sold, how everything, like that's his space. My space is the design and the content, you know what I mean? And then whoever else comes on board, like then, you know, eventually they'll come on board. But I just think like, yeah, it's hard to bring everyone on when, you know, everyone has their own point of view. So see how we go. But I'm so excited, man. I'm fucking excited. Like the Heart Gallery is just, I've been waiting for this moment for years. Like I've been wanting to start something for so long, and I'm truly like, I feel so passionate about it. And I really want to inspire like kids that have come from where I've come from to do amazing things, you know. And this last 6 months where I've sort of just stopped doing content and just chilled, I've really sat with myself and I'm like, who do I want to be? What type of leader do I want to be? What type of person? What type of father? What type of friend? And I've made a few mistakes along the way, but I know, like I'm 100% dedicated to this. Yeah,
movement. There's something really compelling about being the person that you needed as a kid. You know, like when you think back to, okay, well, when I was a kid, what did I need from my idols? What did I need them to do? And once you kind of grow up and you realize like, holy shit, the real world is a lot more complex than what it seems as a kid, you kind of lose sight of that. It's easy to lose sight of that like child version of you. So I'm curious, because you are drawn by that. You do want to be the person that you needed as a child. But like, who were you as a child and what did you need from that person?
As a child, I was a survivor. I was a survivor, not in regards to like, I was a survivor in circumstances like I grew up in like a really bad environment to a point where it turned me into this like a kid of like, you know, go around, joke around at school, didn't take anything serious at school. Like that was my time to escape from where I was at home. Not saying it was always bad at home, but a lot of the times it was. And the type of child I was just, I was scared. I was always scared to put myself out there. I was scared to try new things. I was scared to like I had the talent, had the mental capacity to do stuff, but I was always scared to do it. And whenever my father was involved in these situations, I was scared to fail, so I wouldn't do things like rugby. I hated playing rugby because I was scared that I wasn't gonna, like he used to set KPIs for me before I'd play, and if I didn't hit them, then he'd, you know, give me hiding and shit like that. So I was always scared to do things.
Do
And
you feel like you were supposed to be like one of these prodigy athletes that you do often see? Like I have a close friend of mine
Yeah.
who was in similar circumstances, right? And I remember we used to both play football, and he was a really, really talented footballer, but for whatever reason, it just didn't pan out for him. And I can't tell you the amount of pressure his dad put on him to perform every single game. And he was like that dad that would be like swearing on the sidelines.
Same, yeah.
Super intense. And
Yeah.
I saw like the toll that it took on my, like one of my close buddies, you know, and
it makes you hate the game.
of course.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you hate the game, and it makes you just not want to be around those environments anymore. You know what I mean? You want to escape, like, and it's sad because so many parents, it's you don't realize it's not coming from a bad place. They want you to be amazing. They want you to win, but it just comes down to leading by example, I guess. And there's, you know, you've got so many, you get some really good stories of people like, oh, well, such and such didn't have family and blah, blah, blah. Like, but if you really look at all the numbers, like how many children missed out on opportunities because of this situation. You know, you have one or two like feel good stories that come through, like, oh, this person come from this situation. Like, you know, this person didn't have parents to take him to training and all that. But like, if you really look
like
at it, majority,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get the one off, you get like, it's not actually like, oh, like 20 of UFC fighters went through that.
Yeah.
Like, or not, UFC is a different beast because they're fighting, but footy players and stuff like that, it was hard. It's hard if you don't have that mental toughness. But there'll be some nights like where I'll get locked out of my house and stuff like that, and have to sleep at the back of the house if I got home late, like shit like that. I had to catch two buses, two trains, 2 buses, 2 trains, 2 training and from training. So by the time I had to miss my last class when I was living in Perth, and I was training in like the Western Force Academy. And at the time it was called National Talent Squad. I think it's the Australian Academy now. I had to skip my last class, so to make it to training on time, which would start at like 4 o'clock. And then we'd do all this training, and then I'd had to catch 2 buses, 2 trains home. So then by the time I'd get off at the train station, it'd be about like 10:30, 10:40, and I'd get off, and then there'd be like young teenagers waiting there at the train station, and then chase me, try and beat me up and shit. So I'd sprint home after fucking just doing like CrossFit training for the last 2.5, 3 hours or whatever it may be. And I'd get home, and if I didn't get home bang on 11 or just before 11, they'd lock me out of the house. So then I'd get home and I'd be covered in sweat, and then just sleep on the back of the back porch. But what all these situations turned me into was just this like bitter, angry, like arsehole. And I've just I've not just realized, like I've only just realized, I've only just started to unpack all this shit over the past like 6 months, really.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough relationship to maintain with your parents. You know, it's they are good. They were good people, just in bad environments. Yeah. I think you see a lot of that. I think a lot of people can relate to what you're saying, because
For sure.
It's when you're looking at, you know, the conditions that people are living in and the conditions that people are raising children in, a lot of the time there's just circumstances that are out of your control.
Yeah.
You know.
And I said this to my mate the other day, to Caleb. You might not on paper belong in a room, but if you walk in there with the mentality and the body language that you don't belong in that room, then no one else will think that. But if you walk into that room thinking, I am the fucking man, I'm the bee's knees, and I'm not literally just a room, I'm talking about anywhere in life or anything that you put out. If you don't believe, firstly, that man, I'll paint some art and go, this is fucking fire. And it might be shit, but I believe it's fire. So if you don't have that mentality, you don't walk around that way, and you don't have to be like, oh, I'm the shit, and but it's just that confidence that you carry, the way you carry yourself, then no one else is going to believe that. Yeah. And it's so important to just move in that way if you're trying to achieve something in life. But so many people are just scared to do it.
I think especially with someone like Kanye, and the reason I keep going back to him because I think he is a stellar example.
He's a perfect example. Yeah,
is he does like that arrogance often gets him in trouble, right? He often does push the envelope too far.
Yeah,
he does take things beyond what
way too far.
way
too far.
I mean, that whole Jew thing was weird, bro.
Yeah, the Jewish thing, that was fucking weird, man. Oh, you're like, as soon as he started saying that stuff,
you kind of just had to tap out for a bit.
Yeah, I've tapped out. Yeah, it's a weird situation, But I had a lot of Jewish friends, so like it was a fucking weird, and that's what sort of where I pulled back, because I used to like his fashion, his mind, everything, like just the way he was moving. But
what's so compelling, because when you see genius and you see someone grow war, you just want to get sucked into it. I think it's the same
when you get into that sort of stuff. I thought, nah, bro, you've lost me.
Yeah, you've lost me. But I think it does pose an interesting question, like where are the limitations on art? Because I think for an artist, you have to push the envelope. The only way you're going to get noticed, the only way you're going to get attention is when you do things that people aren't expecting.
Yeah.
Right? If you just print the same black tee as everyone else, no one's going to give a shit.
Yeah.
You have to do something different. You have to do something crazy. You have to do something innovative.
For sure.
And, I think this conversation has become
everything, and I've dealt with certain situations in my past that I've gone through some hard times through things I've said and done, and it's just.
So I'm not 100% familiar with your podcasting career, right? Like I've watched a couple of your episodes, I've watched a couple of your clips, but in all honesty, I think I'm just so focused on my own lane that it's hard to pay attention to everyone else.
For sure.
So have you found yourself in hot water? Like have you found yourself in trouble?
Yeah, I got into a bit of trouble. I got like cancelled probably like maybe about just under a year ago. Mm-hmm. Said some fucking stupid things, hurtful things, went against who I actually am, sort of contradicted who I was. And I just, it was the same situation.
Was it a race? Was it a sex?
It was a bit, the comments that I made were like racist in regards to like my own culture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it was, in my mind at the time, it was me talking shit, and then hindsight's always a bitch. You like sit down with what you've said and you go, fuck, that's actually fucking fucked.
Yeah.
The repercussions is like when you believe yourself that you're a leader of like people from your old community and people that look up to you and stuff, then that's it was just a fuck situation, crazy situation. So and I've learned from it. And
was the reaction immediate? Like was it the pod? I'm guessing it came from a podcast,
like
right?
a day after. Yeah. I just remember the phone just blowing up, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then my phone just like notifications.
See, I feel like the immediate instinct when something like that happens is to kind of like push away. Like you don't really want to take responsibility for the thing, right? So you're kind of like, no, you guys are fucking tripping.
Well, my thing was like, I was such a misfit mentally that I was like, oh fuck, like, like I just had this. I had a mentality that was just like, oh fuck this, fuck that. Like I don't give a shit. And I think that was the first time that I actually sat down, because a few like leaders from like the community that I grew up in reached out to me and had a chat. And it wasn't so much like, well, what the fuck are you up to? Like these are the repercussions that, you have, because a lot of island and, men, women, whatever it may be, like they look up to you. And it's like, who do you want to be at? Who do you want to be remembered as? What type of effect do you want to have on people?
That's really interesting, because I've always believed that cancel culture is just like it's a reaction. It's an emotional thing. It's not a rational decision. No one's arguing with people on Twitter trying to actually help the person they argue with. It's more so just an attack, like an instinct. I'm on this team and you're on that team and you're against me, so I have to go up against you. And it's really interesting that the way that really kind of cut through for you and got past your defense system was like, hey, like I care about you. I want you to do well.
A lot of people that I thought would have.
I'm wondering where this thing is coming from. Like, why are you saying these things? Why are you doing these things?
Yeah, and a lot of people that I assumed would have been there for me, sort of like turned their back on me, unfollowed me, all that shit, which I understood. I was like, all right, that's how you feel. But a lot of like a few of the All Blacks boys reached out to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was mates with a few of them, and they were like, are you okay? Like, what's going on, like mentally? And I sort of sat with that for a long time, still do to this day. And I come across, a lot of Islanders as well that still like have a bit of but I'm the type of guy that people meet and their perception of me from social media, and I'm still like somewhat the same guy. But I think when I always have the first reaction when people meet me, they're like, oh, like, you're actually a nice guy. I thought you were a fucking asshole. And I was like, oh, thanks. From guys and girls. So, I hope to make amends for that. And I think it's going to be like a lifetime situation where it's not like saying sorry to people. It's more so just moving with action. Yeah. And I'm excited for that. That's always what I've wanted to do, but I sort of lost myself in the source of it.
The tricky part is that because you're such a prolific online personality, every decision, every word, everything that you say gets like analyzed, because people just are curious and compelled by what you say. And so there might have been like 9 times out of 10 that anyone else could have made the same joke, and I don't even know what the joke is, but I just know because of the nature of the internet. 9 times out of 10, someone else could have said that and it would have just flown under the radar. No one would have even noticed. No one would have even cared. Hell, like I've done like almost 100 episodes of this. I know I've said some fucking gnarly shit on this podcast. And, I'm sure one day that will be brought up.
Well, look at Joe Rogan, for example. He's a perfect example.
Yeah, I mean, and so when you are like putting so much of yourself out there, it's people might be dealing with a version of you 6 months ago that you're not today, but they've captured like that snapshot, that impression of you. Yeah. And so I'm curious, like when you wake up the next day or the next couple of days after being cancelled and you're like, man, I got to get my shit together. Like what does that process look like? How do you start becoming the better person?
Well, I felt like I was always a good person. And I was dealing with a lot of like mental demons myself. Like as I said on the last podcast, I was with Ice. Like I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and no, I'm not blaming it on that, but I kid you not, like the lows and highs that I've experienced over the past like years have just been so fucked. And like I remember coming into the office that day, and I was in such a bad mood, didn't want to podcast, didn't want to be this funny guy, didn't want to talk about chicks, didn't want to talk about dating anymore. I was like, fuck. And I just went in with such an anger, like I'm going to fucking blow this place up. Like if you guys want me to talk shit, I'm going to talk absolute shit. And, it ended up fucking coming up and blowing up in my face. Yeah. But I remember over the next like 3-4 weeks, I didn't leave my house. I would get these messages, bro, and they were so horrible, and some from people I knew, and I was like, oh. And then I was on like the project back in New Zealand, and it was on the big like the Sunday Herald in New Zealand, and this massive chick on TikTok like called me out, and then that rebooted it, and I was like, oh my God.
And for someone suffering with mental health, that's like the worst possible pressure.
Well, I didn't even know at the time. I was sort of just, but yeah, you're right. I was like, fuck.
What is bipolar? Like what goes on in your head?
Oh, that's a good question. So I would I would make up scenarios in my head, like things that I believe are happening, whether someone's talking about me or someone's trying to backstab me, or like my ex is cheating on me or talking to another guy, or like, I don't know, like I know men have these situations, but mine were like I make full on scenarios up in my head.
Right.
And like, some days I'd wake up and I'd be like, fuck yeah, like I'm going to kill it today. I'm going to be amazing, and we're going to train, and I'm going to do this and do that. And then like maybe like 3 days, 4 days later, I'd be like, I can't get out of bed. Like, I don't want to move. Like, and it was so up and down that it just, it just took its toll on my relationship.
So it's like your emotions can't actually stabilize. You're just jumping frequencies.
Jumping. Like I was just constantly to a point where like, you know, my ex was just like, can you please just go see someone? And I'm like, no, like it's fine. Like I'll have it under control. Like I just, you know, I got to stop going out. I got to like, it's just, I need to focus. And she's like, nah, like there's something wrong with you. Like you need to go get sorted. Like you need to go just inquire about it and see what's going on. And I'd just be like, no. And then, then like days later, I'd be like, oh, I need help. She'd be like, okay, cool. All right, let's go get help. And it got to a point where like, I was like, all right, fuck, I need to go I'm just going to go down to the doctors, and there's one in Double Bay specialist. I was like, I'll go there. I go there and they just like, the lady sat with me, and I've been concussed more times than I've had hot meals. Like I've been knocked out so many times, like through rugby, like my old man, like I've been getting head knocks my whole life. And she was talking about the chance of having CTE as well. And we talked about that. And then she's like, oh, we're going to do some scans, and we're going to do this before we get you on any medication. And I was like, okay, like I was so into it, bro. Literally the next day I woke up and I was like, nah, I'm sweet. Like, I think I'm sweet. I think I've got it under control. And like, it just would break my ex's heart. She'd be like, please just try something, like just try anything. I cancelled the brain scan, cancelled all these scans and all these things. And I was like, nah, I don't need to do it. And then it just got to a point where I was like, fuck, I ended up calling the doctors, and I was like, please, like I need help. Like I need to just get on this medication and just see if I'm just going to shoot the shit. Like she's like, oh, like, you know, whatever. Like went to this other specialist, got the green light. So she's like, all right, sweet.
So the whole process, you're trying to build something, you're trying to create a path for yourself, and then you're going and sabotaging it.
Is
that just an effect of the bipolar, do you think?
Yeah, that, and then also the idea of like believing in myself, like, but I do think it's probably most likely from the bipolar. Like,
yeah, it sounds like bipolar.
It's been like that my whole life. Like I've been like that with my whole life, like with everything.
Like, do you feel like in your relationships or your friendships or your businesses, like you start building something up and then you find a way to,
like, I literally have been in some of the most insane opportunities that you could, with relationship wise. My ex, the best person I've ever met in my whole life, most beautiful person I've ever met in my life, internally and externally. Work-wise, I like got this amazing job as the brand manager, sales manager for like these like international clothing brands, like money, amazing. Like just everything. Like I've had these like the best opportunities. And I will find a way to find the biggest spanner in the fucking toolbox and throw it in there, and I destroy it overnight. Like, it's crazy how fucked it.
I can't imagine what it's like to be at war with your own mind.
It's fucked. Like it's honestly, it's fucked. Like some stories I make up in my mind, that I used to make up in my mind, was so real to me that. Like my mates were like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then like maybe 2 days, 3 days later, I'll be like, what the fuck? Like that's fucked. Like, and I just was like, fuck.
Like that. What? Like what kind of stories did you make up?
Oh, like, man, like, I just think like people are scheming against me, or like, you know, like just weird shit, bro. And I can't even remember a lot of them, but just weird shit, like weird shit. And I'd be like, fuck, that's fucked.
But it felt real. And
felt so real.
Because
I'd be
that emotion was real. You'd behave as if that thing that you'd made up.
I would be like looking
happened.
for like breadcrumbs, like to just like back up what I was thinking.
Yeah. And
then there's been so many situations in my life that type of thinking has actually led me to what I was thinking.
Which is the worst possible case, because you're being reaffirmed.
Yeah, that this is like normal. So I was like, so I'd be like, oh, and then a few days later, I'd be like, wow, that's pretty mental. That, and like, you know, it would take its toll on my friends, and sometimes I'd tell my friends stuff. I won't even remember what I said. Like, it's just so crazy, some of the situations that I've been in, and I just have no recollection of it.
See, I feel like, I'm not a massive proponent of medicating, especially for things like mental illness. Like I have a lot of reservations about it, mostly because I think the majority of people who suffer from anxiety or depression in particular are people that aren't pushing themselves physically, that don't have good support networks around them, that don't have the right outlet, the creative outlet, they don't have fulfillment in their work. But when I look at you, like you've got all of those things. Like I picked you up from the gym this morning. You were like dripping in sweat, all muscled out, like crazy shit. Like, all right, physicality, he's got it. Tick. He's got good people around him. Tick. He's got a creative outlet. Tick. Okay, so there's something deeper going on here. Like it's not just the check engine lights on and you need an oil change. It's like, okay, let's have a look at the suspension. What's really going on here?
Yeah. So, but exactly. And honestly, a week out of the gym and I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Like I'm fucked. Like I need to train every day. Like I need to,
every day
for my mental health.
Yeah.
If I need to train. Like if I take a week off, I'm fucked. Like training is honestly the best when I'm training, like obviously plus my medication, but before I was on my medication, when I was training, I felt amazing. But then those days, I'd be like, it might be like, 2 weeks later after me training for 2 weeks consistently, I'll be like, oh, fuck, I'm fucked. So that's where the medication comes in. And I'm not telling people go take meds or whatever, do whatever you want to do what you think works for you. But for me, for myself, it's probably the most stable I've felt mentally my whole life. Yeah. And it's upsetting because
you're ticking the boxes, you're doing the right things.
Exactly. And I like even me coming here, I've done like maybe 5 or 6 podcasts in the past week. And that's just off the back of like me training consistently for 4 weeks and then plus my medication and like getting my business finally off the ground and finding a name and doing all these things. It's just like I've only been on my meds for like 8-9 weeks. And they sort of kick in like 5 weeks if you're just doing it every day. And some days, man, like at the start, I was like, oh, fuck, I don't need this because it would put me on my ass. It was like tranquilizing darts for me. Like, and my mates were like, oh man, I don't think you need it, man. Like, it's pretty fucked because it was almost like I was tranquilized. Like I would be like gone. But now, honestly, it's leveled me out, but in the time of reflection, it makes me so sad because the bridges I've burnt, like I'd say my past relationship would have been totally different if I had started medicating earlier. And that's probably my biggest regret out of all of it. Time with my family, so hindsight, as I said, man, will kill you. But thankfully, like I'm only 31 and I'm grateful because a lot of people, the shit that I've gone through with like, break up, my kids moving to the Gold Coast, like all these like real heartbreaking shit that I've gone through in my 20s. A lot of men don't go through it until they're like in their late 30s, early 40s, like 50s. So
and that's when it really breaks them because they don't have the foundation.
They don't have foundation and then they don't
have the habits.
They're old. Like in their mind, they're old. Yeah. So it's like, what am I going to do now? So, I mean, I don't wish that upon anyone and I'm not saying everyone goes through that, but I feel like that typical, like had kids, divorce, like, and I'm grateful that I've come through the other side at like 30, 31, so.
Do you feel like by taking the medication, you are hindering your ability to like get in contact with the muse? Like, are you familiar with the concept of the muse?
Yeah, for sure. Mine's happiness. Like I can't create unless I'm happy. Like, right. See, like sadness isn't like, I can't paint when I'm sad. Like, and I haven't painted for months. So it's like, I found it, that creative side of me like has actually dulled down since I've taken this medication. And since me and my ex broke up, like she was my muse. Like she was my muse. She's my muse. So
Still is,
yeah. So it's hard for me to paint because yeah, she was that person for me, like, and she still is, unfortunately, but I want to make her proud, you know, and I think that's just by like me following through with what I'm going to say. You know what I mean? And people are like, oh, do it for yourself. I'm like, fuck off. Like, that's my muse. That's my girl, man. So I'm like, fuck up. Like, I don't care what other people say. Like,
It really is a real Romeo and Juliet story, huh? It just,
man, I don't think I've ever said this, and like, you know, she's so like, you know, the lovey-dovey stuff, like, it's like, but me, I'm like, I kid you not, man, like, she has taught me so much over the past like 2 years about just everything in life, and I probably would have never gone on medication if it wasn't for her. Not that she was like, go get on medication, but she was just like had so much care factor for me.
and patience.
And, you know, we broke up, we got back together, and she's such a hard worker and like just such an amazing leader, and she just gave me like hope for myself, like internal self. And I regret every day that I've like let her down. I didn't cheat or anything. It's just my mentals were just fucked.
Yeah.
And yeah. Yeah, sweet. My mentals were just fucked, and I don't care what, like, everyone's always like, you know, like, it's sweet, but like, I genuinely want to make her proud. I want her to look, even in, like, we're still somewhat friends, we go to the same events, we see each other here and there, but I want her to look one day and just go like, I'm proud of that guy, you know what I mean? Like, and it just makes me so upset because like I just care about her so much, but it's like, it's her, my children. I want them to just look at me in the future and just go, fuck, like, he really made something of himself, you know? And that's what drives me now. That's what drives me every day. And usually I'd fall back on, like, you know, going on dates and all this shit, but like, I don't know, something's different now, you know,
Are you guys in communication at all?
we talk here and there. It's like, I've never loved someone so much, so it's hard for me to just, when I see her, it's like Cupid just shooting me within like 50 arrows at once, and I'm like, ugh. But oh man, yeah, it one day, you know, we'll probably be friends again, but for now it's just like, it's hard for us to be around each other because, like, I don't know, I've just got we've got so much love for each other. It's,
Yeah.
you know, but for now I know that I must focus on this, because I said it in another podcast, like, if your cup's not somewhat full when you enter another relationship, it doesn't work out, you know what I mean? OG?
Yeah, would you?
Yeah, like, if your cup's not full when you enter a relationship, there's going to be a lot of, especially when you enter a relationship with someone who's very successful, hardworking, has their shit together.
Those are usually the harder ones.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
it was hard because, like, she wasn't, like, you know, putting any pressure on me, but it was like, you feel like shit because you're like, fuck, I want to be there. I want to contribute.
So everyone kind of kicks back and goes, oh yeah, I'll let my girl make all the bread on,
Yeah.
you know, whatever she's doing, and I'll kick back at home, I'll cook or clean or whatever. But I think as guys, it's just, you've got so much testosterone and so much desire to hunt and be the provider. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard to kick back and chill.
Honestly, like, her work ethic's fucked. Like,
You're like, how am I supposed to keep up with this shit?
honestly, bro, I'll be like, oh man, like, the way she works, bro, is like unmatched. Like, it's so inspiring. And, you know, we'd have like these conversations. I'd say to, like, man, I don't think I'm going to be able to, like, keep up. I don't think I might not be able to make as much money as she'd just say, like, as long as you're, like, giving something 100%, you're staying committed,
Yeah.
and that was the spanner in the works, because my mentals would just go up and down, and I'd be like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
She'd be like, what the fuck? You said like 4 days ago that you wanted to do it. 4 weeks ago you wanted to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't want to do it today. I don't want to do it. And like, she'd be like, what are you? And I'd be like, like that's how it would go. I'd be like, I don't want to talk about it.
I can understand it from her perspective as well,
sure.
because I do believe that you are the summation of all the people that you surround yourself with, right? Like everyone has a different kind of effect on you.
Yeah.
You and I sitting down having this conversation right now, like in a weird way, we're kind of bouncing off each other's energies.
Yeah.
And I'm getting from you and you're getting from me, and we're kind of like, and I feel like if we spent enough time together, then, you know, we would just adopt each other's like behaviors and personalities. Like I'd probably go to the gym more often because you're there 7 days a week. And if my mates are going to the gym all that time, then I'm going to the gym. Have you seen that video of like the guy holding a baby and he goes, okay, everyone start clapping. And so everyone in the audience starts clapping.
Oh, yeah.
And then he goes, watch this. And then because everyone else around the baby is clapping, the baby starts clapping. So it's kind of like that. And he says like that's built into our like DNA. We mimic the people that are around us.
Yeah.
Even from a child's age. Like no one told the child to clap. The child can't even speak yet.
Yeah.
It just knows like to behave like the people around you.
For sure.
So I think in her case, if she is on this like trajectory for success, and if she is doing all these things right, if she is ticking all these boxes, then to be involved with someone, especially intimately involved with someone who is battling their own demons. I mean, that's tough. Like you have to own it from that sense. Like,
for sure. Yeah, for sure. And that was a big thing too, because it was like the expectation of like wanting her to like juggle my shit, my emotions on a daily. And then she's got like, she's, you know, got $1 million like millions of dollars in fucking clothes and Instagram and all these things happening. It just gets to a point where it's like you need to like step back as if you love someone, like, because it affects their bottom line, like mentally and financially, because they have to then juggle your shit. You know what I mean? And I you know, in my mind, I'm very like, who knows what the future holds? But for me, I have made peace with the idea, like I need to get this business up off the ground. I need to become a millionaire. I need to look after my children. I need to look after my mom, my family, and I need to create. Like I need to create, whether or not someone buys it or not. Like I just need to, for my mental self, like I need to create shit.
So day by day, how do you hold yourself accountable to that new standard?
Firstly, I go boxing. Boxing is my breakfast. Like sets my day up. Like I go in there, I see the same faces, the same guys who've been boxing there for years, and I live by the saying now is chop wood, carry water. Is doing the small things, chopping wood, carrying water every day, then everything else will take care of itself. Like the idea of chop wood, carry water comes from, you know, if you don't chop enough wood, then you're not going to be able to keep yourself warm or keep anyone around you in your village warm. If you don't carry enough water, you're not going to be able to drink or give anyone else any water. If you decide to take a day off tomorrow, you know, there's not going to be any supplies there for you because you haven't chopped wood, carried water. So it's like, it's the idea that I live by. Like I wrote it on my wall. I probably shouldn't have because it's a rental, but I spray painted it on my wall. In hindsight, I was like, fuck, that's not a good idea to spray paint shit in orange, but I'm an artist. So
yeah, I get it.
I'll fucking go over it with white paint. But it's like, I look up and I'm like, chop wood, carry water. If I don't do this today, then how is it going to affect tomorrow? How is it going to affect the people around me? How is it going to affect my relationships? And I'm so obsessed with it now. I'm so obsessed with doing those small things. And even one thing I've realized is once you reach the destination, and in this quote, it's like enlightenment. The student asked the monk, once you reach the destination of enlightenment, like, what do you do after? And he just replies like, chop wood, carry water, because it's just the small things of, you know, the day to day that it's going to affect the next day and the next week and the next month and the next year. So, you know, I'm sure you've been in situations where you've like, you know, like maybe money or like financially or whatever it may be, you're like, fuck up. You know, people with health issues, they get sick whether it be diabetes or whatever it may be, and they look back and they go, fuck, like I didn't eat healthy. I smoked. I drank all the time. Like, and yeah, and that's just where the chop wood carry water comes from, is just like making sure you do all those small things. And that's just how I'm going to carry myself for the rest of my life.
Yeah. It's, you know, have you read The War of Art?
Oh, Art of War.
The other one.
Oh,
There's
the other
two.
one. Oh, is there two? No.
There's The War of Art and The Art of War.
Yeah. No, I haven't. I'm definitely interested in
by
it.
Stephen Pressfield.
Okay.
It's a really interesting book. I think you'd like it. And he describes what you're talking about as resistance. So every single day, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, there is resistance. And there's this voice in your head that is constantly trying to stop you from doing the thing that you're supposed to do. So that voice there is like, oh, bro, 5 more minutes in bed.
Yeah.
Take another hit of the vape.
Yeah.
You don't need your meds today. It's that voice of resistance that continually tells you. And it's so easy to listen to it.
My voice is like a choir.
It's like all black choirs, they're like fucking dancing and shit.
Choirs, man, like a full-on choir, like, and they're trying to win a competition. Like, that's the voices in my head.
He said that every single day the battle is against resistance. It's nothing else externally. It's just fighting against resistance. Resistance comes in so many forms and shapes. And the problem with resistance is a lot of the time it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I struggle with this a lot because I wear a lot of different hats. So for me, it's like, okay, I know I need to edit this podcast by Thursday, but also I need to do my laundry. Yeah. And actually right now my laundry is more important, so I'm going to go do that. And that's just a form of procrastination.
For sure.
Even though it's a justified form of procrastination. It's like, if you're going to be a professional, if you're going to be the best at what you do, and if you're going to be on top of your game, then you have to put that domain as your number one priority.
Sure.
So if right now getting your mental health is the number one priority, you have to put that, like, you're a pro. You just go to work every single day. You do that thing that you're supposed to do, and all the other resistance that comes with it, the phone blowing up, oh bro, can you come collab with me on this thing? Oh bro, like, let's go eat out tonight. Let's go for drinks. Let's go do bags. Let's go fuck hookers. Like all of that shit. That's just resistance.
For sure.
Because you're a professional in this one domain. Yeah. And then once you switch domains, the resistance changes.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
a really interesting way of looking at it. And I think it's so difficult.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. And I think one of the best ways of getting on top of that, and, you know, I give full credit to Joe Rogan because I feel like he's the one that really adopted this into the mainstream, but ice baths, man. Oh, for ice baths are
I do it every day.
A cheat code.
Yeah.
They're a cheat code, man.
My sister used to live in Queenstown, and they used to make me go into the lake every day. Oh yeah. So like in Queenstown, like it's like
doing a proper raw.
Yeah, like it's like fucking like grizzly bears and shit. Like literally, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a frozen lake. Like
alligators, bro.
No, but this lake is like beautiful, but it is like ice water. It's cold. It's like snows there and shit. So like I am like obsessed with ice baths. Like the other day I did like actual ice baths. I've only actually done 2 proper ice baths. Usually it was like lakes or like whatever it may be, but for some reason my body is just like, my first ever ice bath I got like 7 minutes in, and then my second one I just did the other day I got like 6 minutes, and it's just like
it depends on the temperature you go at.
This one was like a full like floating blocks of ice like a freezer.
You're a freak, bro.
Yeah, bro. I sat in there and I was like doing this breath work that I got like off a mate of mine. We were actually partying. He's like, you should try this next time. And I'm like, fuck yeah, brother. Like, yeah, I'm going to try it. And it just clicked in my mind when I seen the ice bath. I was like, oh shit, such and such from this bloody bender told me to do this.
The guys all
and it works, bro.
Trust me, bro.
Bro, it worked.
Do this breathing technique, bro.
It fucking worked, bro. It worked. It got to a point, but like ice baths, 100%, man, is like a game changer. Game changer. And it's funny you say that. I told Al, I go, man, jump in a cold shower before you come, because he's a sleepy cunt. Like he's one of the sleepiest people I've ever met. I'm like, bro, jump in a fucking cold shower as soon as you wake up. Jump in, jump out. Like stay in there for 30, 40 seconds, and it changes everything, bro. As soon as you have a cold shower, ice bath, whatever it may be, like it's like something does something to your fucking body where you're just like, let's go.
For me, what it does is, firstly, there's a lot of resistance to go in, man.
Oh.
Especially in the mornings. Like in the mornings, I'm looking at that.
Why would I
time.
do this?
I'm like, what am I doing, man? Like, I can just quit today. I can just stop. And I'm like,
A hot
I have to
shower.
remind myself of the book. I'm like, wait, no, this is just resistance and it's really good. It's really strong. And the thing is, it doesn't get easier to go in the ice tub. It doesn't get warmer for you. Your body doesn't adjust in that sense.
Yeah.
It's more so you just get better at fighting the resistance. So every single morning I'm battling that resistance. And every single morning I'm going, okay, like we have to do this thing that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And like that first shock of when you go in and your body's like, it's not too late. You can get out now, man. You can get out. And you just have to fight through that, push yourself through, chill there for 3, 5, 7 minutes, whatever it be. You get out, your endorphins are up.
For
Your
sure.
serotonin's up. You've got more
Everything.
energy. You're just focused on trying to get warm. Suddenly you're alert. You don't need that cup of coffee in the morning anymore because trust me, like a good ice bath will set you up for success.
Fucking oath.
And no one wants to hear it because no one wants to do it, but it's just the truth.
Yeah, it's like a ice bath, but the writing's on the wall, man. The writing's on the wall. People have been doing it for years, like from fucking the ancient times. You know what I mean? And done and like it actually changes your whole life. Like So I mean, go buy a freezer. Go buy a freezer and jump in it.
You don't even need a freezer. Just fill up your wheel.
This guy's freezer, bro. This guy's freezer is like fits my whole body in it. Thank God, but.
It's got to be a big freezer. You're
It's
a big
like
boy.
these chunks, bro, like the chunks of ice and shit. He breaks it up with the hammer and we jump in and like, I mean, you don't need 6 minutes. You don't need 6 minutes. Mine was after a training session. So I was fucking on fire.
Yeah.
But is that mine or yours?
No, it's me.
But yeah, man, I couldn't agree with you more for sure. I do it daily now.
Yeah. Is that like tied in with your training regime?
It
Or is that
wasn't
just independent.
Independent, but I'm trying to get Al to jump in and one we're going today. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's for me. I really want to fucking kill it this year. Like I've got a feeling that when I know something like in myself, like I'm like, this is it. Like, this is it. So for me now, it's like the training, the ice baths, and like all these little things are going to accumulate to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I really am like intoxicated with achieving it.
So what is the bigger picture? Is there a fight on the cards?
My ex. No. Hopefully she comes back. No. The bigger picture for me is honestly, as I said, my children being proud of me. That's the bigger picture for me long term. But it's just creating this consistency. This is how I want to live for the rest of my life. This is the person that I want to be, is every day helping me get to this certain point. So the fight on the cards, fight-wise, not 100%. I literally just was messaging Georgie Rose beforehand, but I want to fight in like 5-6 months' time. I want to fight like, I know Jason Tomalolo's talking about fighting. I want to fight him. He's and I'm not saying like I want to bash this guy, but I want to test myself. And I believe if I've got 5 to 6 months' time training, like training twice a day, every day, ice baths, eat, pray, love vibes, I believe that I can, he's a professional athlete. The guy's on like $10 million contract.
I've just never heard that before. Eat, pray, love vibes.
Eat, pray, love, man. Eat, pray, and love. That is the way you should live your fucking life.
You should spray paint that on the wall.
Yeah, well, man, I'm like, I did it and I was like, oh, that's beautiful. And then I sat down and I was like, yeah, orange was a bad color, man.
There goes my bond.
I should have just fucking put a piece of paper on the wall, to be honest with you. But I'm artsy and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
we're just gonna pause. I gotta go pee. What are we talking about? Eat, pray, love vibes.
Eat, pray, love vibes, man.
Big vibes.
It's a part of how I operate now. Eat, pray, love.
Eat, pray, love. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, man. My whole energy and vibe, even like coming on the potty today, a few other podcasts, is like, and this is for any creatives, is like, get around each other. Get around each other, get amongst each other's work, give each other time, because like from our interaction right now, like I've learned a lot from you. You're an amazing podcaster.
Oh, thanks, man.
You've got a really good flow. Your questions are amazing. I definitely would love to get on another podcast with you and go much deeper into other things, because you make me think, which is great. And yeah, man, it's just like if other content creators need to get amongst other content creators, it's the only way that you grow.
Do you feel like the scene in Sydney is really lacking that?
I don't think it's like lacking it.
Because like you've worked in content groups before, like obviously you're involved with TR, like you essentially became the face of it, and you've worked with other creators, and you know, you rambled just a couple of names like that you've worked with or that you've collaborated with in the past. But I feel like Sydney doesn't really have a culture of collaborating on content the same way LA does.
Yeah, that is true. One of my friends in LA said people in LA are way more like, bro, that's amazing, man. Like, you're killing it. You should do this. You should do that. And they genuinely fuck with you. I think Australia and New Zealand have like a really like weird vibe where they just like don't fuck with you until everyone fucks with you. You know what I mean? Like,
it really is that.
Like I think it's called tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
Like so I think there's a few things like creators like either like believe they're too busy or too big or not big enough, or they don't fuck with someone else's content. But one thing I've realized over the 2 years is that your content has to be changing and evolving and moving. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to change as a person, but when you start to put yourself out there and work with other people from different walks of life and different walks of content, then you then learn other things. You then change the way you think, you change the way you act. And, you know, it makes you a better person, makes your content better, because you start looking through a different lens at things, you know? So I think people just need to reach out more and be open more to working with other people, because you might think, oh, like I'm bigger than this guy. Just not you, but in general, like I'm bigger than this person over here. He just started a podcast. This is episode 1, but that one episode could blow up and introduce you to 1,000 million more people. You know what I mean? So yeah, that would just be my advice, man, is for content creators, like open up and just be open to working with anyone, you know, even if they're not in your lane. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, especially with the stuff with you doing is really inspiring, like in terms of the fact that you're doing the crossover boxing and you're doing like events like that. I mean, we see it over in the States work so well, but we don't necessarily have a lot of figures doing it here, you know, and
you get fucking anyways.
No, tell me.
You get trampled on for doing it.
Yeah, right. I mean, they dragged you through the media.
It was exactly.
Weird? Like, you kind of went from this guy that was big on podcasts and TikTok and, you know, doing your thing and painting your nails and living life to the fullest to like, suddenly you're in a Fox Sport event, you're being interviewed by the press, you're up against Justin Hodges. Like, this was like big shift for you. Yeah. Well,
I've always wanted to, like, as you said earlier, like disruptor. I want to try everything. I want to do everything. And, but my issue was there was no home base for anyone to come back to in regards to the Heart Gallery. So I think it was more so like, this guy's fucking random. You know, there was no purpose, which was fair enough. I think, as you said, with the Aussie media and stuff, I was getting called wannabe Jake Paul. It actually had nothing to do with boxing or wanting to be Jake Paul. It was just me just being in love with my ex and just wanting to go out there and just be like, hey, look at me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I was going to do this and confess my love. So, I'm such a yes man now. Like when it comes to doing things that are going to help, like make you step out of your comfort zone, like the Bulldog situation. I'm dyslexic, can't read properly, like, and they gave me a script, like, and I was like, I mean, I can read, but when you're reading in front of like 15, 20,000 people, you're like, holy shit, I was shaking like a rattlesnake. And, you know, God bless her, my ex calls me, calms me down, and I go out and I absolutely killed it. And that situation actually made the boxing situation like so easy. Because I thought in my mind, I'm a better fighter than I am at reading. So I walked out there. I wasn't nervous at all. Like I was nervous in regards to knowing like my fitness is going to give legs. I didn't know when. It was the first round. Why did you
feel like your fitness was going to give?
Well, because I didn't train. I wasn't prepared properly. Like,
why didn't you train? Why weren't you prepared?
Well, I only had like 2 weeks notice for that fight. So it was like when that opportunity knocked, I was like, I've got to say yes.
What does that phone call sound like?
Well, I sort of like poke the bear in a way of like going, yeah, I'll fight. And
but like, were people calling like your manager or like?
No manager. They just called me. Georgie just called me up and he goes like, "Do you want to have a fight? Do you want to fight Justin Hodges?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "You've been training?" I was, "Yeah." And he's like, "Sweet." And I go, "When is it?" And he goes, 2 weeks. And I go, "Sweet." And I jumped off the phone and I was sitting in this car. I was like, and I had been somewhat training, but not enough to jump in, especially on such a big fight card. And I was like, fuck it. You know, and you just never know where things are going to lead you. So my best advice is like, people always look at it and go, why is he doing this? And why is he doing that? And like, why not? Like one day you die. Like one day you're gone. Tomorrow you could be gone. 3 days, like you could literally die tomorrow. And the last thing I want to do is go, fuck, why didn't I say yes to that? Because hindsight's a bitch, man. And I've said no to so many opportunities just because I was scared, or I just thought, oh, people are going to think this of me. Once you relinquish that feeling, the sky's the limit. Like literally the sky's the limit. As we were saying in the car, like I've done nothing great. Like I'm not a superstar rugby player. I'm not, you know, a politician. I'm not any of these things. Like it's just because I've just put one foot in front of the other. Someone's opened the door and I've said yes to it.
And I think because of that, it actually makes you more influential than the superstar rugby player or the superstar politician, right? Because people can relate to you. They connect with you. They understand.
I'm just like a normal person.
They're doing the exact same thing. They're putting the one foot in front of the other and going, okay, what next?
Yeah.
And so I think it's refreshing for people to hear and go, okay, like, look at everything he's been able to do in such a short period of time. Look at all the attention he's been able to garner for himself, and look how he's channeling that. And the fact that he isn't that much different than what I am. He just applied himself differently.
For
he's
sure.
just been more consistent. He's just worked harder and said yes to the right opportunities.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of luck in there as well.
For sure. A little bit of luck. And like obviously joining YKTR gave me that like that shift. But I mean, yeah, it's YKTR gave me that jump up obviously. But anyone can.
Which again, the opportunity to go to YKTR was one of those spontaneous ones.
Yeah, like I was literally sitting in the room drunk.
Yeah,
and then they were like, "Jump on the podcast," and I thought, "Fuck yeah, this is my time to shine," you know. And thankfully, it accumulated and did really well. But that's what I try to tell people. Like I'm a normal person. I've done normal things in my life, but everyone has opportunities like this. Everyone has these little moments in life where they're like, you know, should I do this? Is this going to be like, but because you're scared of what others will think, then you don't do it. But once you relinquish that feeling, like honestly, you just jump from fucking opportunity to opportunity to opportunity. Like,
and that's just resistance, man.
100%.
It's just resistance. That voice.
That's the biggest resistance. That voice in your head going, don't go do it. Don't go fight Hodges. Like, what are you thinking? You're not ready. You're not prepared. Was I ready? No. Was I prepared? No. But
did I fight him?
Did I fight him? Yeah. It was, and as I said, man, I told Caleb this. You look back one day at the book that you wrote over for your life, and it's broken up to chapters. You look at each chapter of your life, and at the end of the day, if you're not happy with the book, that's on you. If you're happy with the book, then it's on you. Like, you write your own book. And so many people I've met in life are just, hindsight has just fucked them, you know? You meet guys, like you met older gentlemen that are like, oh man, I could have done this, I could have done that. I had this girl, I had that opportunity. I said no, because it's like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. And you get so caught up in what other people think that you're like, you don't do shit.
No.
And then you blink and you're 50 and you're like, shit.
And you're like, fuck, I never painted my fingernails red. Not even once.
Fucking oath. Man, get zesty with it, bro. Wear a dress. If you want. Don't clip that up too, you cunt. Everyone like, that's so fucked. Like, relax, I'm fucking joking around. Do what you want though. Do what you want, because like, when you let other people's lives, even as a hater, you let other people's lives affect you so much that you're like, oh, fuck, that makes me sick, or that's disgusting, or, you know, to a certain extent, like, you're just wasting your own time, your own energy. And that comes with like, it just fucking ruins your life.
The one thing about social media hate that I've always appreciated is the fact that you can just turn it off at any time. Like, you don't have to read the comments. You don't have to look at the feedback. You don't have to watch the analytics. Like, if you just stay a purist to your art, you don't ever know what people really think.
I was so petty. I'll tell you a fucking funny story, actually. And I feel bad, but I don't feel bad, because I get so many of these messages and people are, oh, you're cringe and you're this and you're that. And I'm like, you know, but this day I had time, you know what I mean? I was sitting there, I was fucking pissed off at something, and I had time, and this guy inboxed me, and he had inboxed me a few times. I had never opened his messages, and he was just a fuckwit. He was just an absolute arsehole. And one day I messaged him back, and I just thought, you know, I'm just going to I said, hey man, what's going on? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, I hope you're okay. Like, just positive energy, positive vibes, because it was a real account.
Yeah.
And he had mutual friends, and he went in on me, bro. Started saying all these personal things about my life and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking destroy this cunt. So anyways, and this is bad. This is a bad energy, bad vibes, but I couldn't help myself.
What a great story.
So anyways, I go, man, I tried to calm the situation down. I was like, bro, what's going on, man? Like, you're inboxing me, like, you're wasting your time inboxing me, and I'm just checking in on you. Like, are you sweet? He's like, yeah, I'm sweet. Like, are you sweet? You're the one doing this, doing that. And he said some real personal shit, and that's when it clicked over with me. I thought, you know what, I can't let this go. I can't let this slide, because you let sort of these things slide, then who are you as a man, as a human being, to let things like this slide? And sometimes you do, but not that day. Anyways, I do some research. I send some screenshots to mutual friends of the guy, because he was on private. I go, who is this dude? And he goes, I go, send me photos of him. They send me photos. So then I Google his name. I find him on LinkedIn. He works for my friend's family's company.
Oh, no way.
The company that I used to work for in fashion. So one of my best friend's family owns the whole company. Loaded. So anyways, I messaged my friend, send him screenshots of the messages, everything. And I messaged this guy. I said, hey, I'm going to message such and such from the company you work for. And he blocked me straight away.
Wow.
And I messaged my friend. I said, hey, listen, one of your employees, and he was one of the managers for the brand, one of these brands. I said, one of your employees are fucking attacking me. He was racist as well. Racist, said all these like racist slurs and shit. And my mate was like, what the fuck? Sent it to HR, and yeah, got his ass fired.
Wow.
So watch your fucking words.
Yeah.
Got his ass fired, man. And I said to him, listen, I don't want the guy fired. I just want him to apologize. I want him to apologize face to face. He goes, oh, and my mate was like, nah, fuck that. He's like one of my best mates. He goes, fuck that. And I just thought to myself, how funny, like, that this guy thought he could get away with being racist to me off his actual account, and he works for one of my best friends, his family. I just thought it was funny. So, you know, dude, conduct yourself off a fake account next time. But it was just funny, man. It was funny. I couldn't believe it. I thought to myself, this gem has fallen on my lap. I didn't want the guy to get fired, but I think when you're a racist, it's like, and the family too, they've gone through their own, you know, situations in the past where that just didn't fly with them, and racism doesn't fly with me either. So it was like, it was fucking sweet. it was really sweet, and I wish the guy nothing but the best. So
Yeah, I think, you know, sometimes you do need a reality check, and you do need to be.
this might be changed his whole life, you know, and the job as well, like really good paying job too. But yeah, this was probably the biggest reality check for him as well. And the only reason I didn't call him out is because it's just like, I don't want people to get that type of hate put on them, because people only know what they know. People only talk how the people they're around. So I hope it is a reality check for him. I hope he looks in the mirror and goes, fuck, like that's not how I should conduct myself. So
I think that's the tone of this whole episode, man. It's just been a big reality check for all of us, and
fucking oath.
reassess, recalibrate, and fucking keep chopping wood, carrying water.
Yeah, exactly, man. And I'm very grateful for you inviting me on here and us getting after it. As I said, man, you're on it. This is probably the best podcaster I've actually sat with.
Really?
No joke. Like I've sat with a fucking bunch of the cunts too. Like probably the best podcaster I've sat with, man. So I'm really excited. I hope this brings more eyes to your shit, and man, just keep going, bro. Cause
I'm
like,
humbled, bro. I can't tell you what that means to me.
genuinely, man, like we only met today, but I think definitely I would love to do more work with you in the future for sure.
Fucking earth. You know where to find me, bro.
Yeah.
All right.
Go.
Go plug your shit. Let the people know where to find you.
Guys, Jordan at jordan.simi. It's my Instagram. At the Heart Gallery is my company that's launching in 2 weeks. So if you fuck with me, you know, follow.
Go check
like,
that shit
subscribe,
out.
go check us out.
Links will be in the bio down below. Be sure to check it out. I mean, you won't need to wait very long to see this guy pop up online, because he's pretty much everywhere. You're going to see him with painted nails, hanging out with UFC stars.
Weird.
Hopefully not getting choked out, bro.
Yeah. I was very
worried
close.
for you in that interview. I was like, Alex is like a week out from fighting the most dangerous man on the planet.
Bro, he was the nicest guy, man. But like he was, you know, when you're weight cutting and shit, you're like, fuck this guy. But yeah, it was funny, man.
I appreciate your time, bro.
Likewise,
Thank you.
bro. Thank you so much.